Thank you for tuning into IO News. And on today's agenda, we do have data-driven content, the sports media, visualization, and we're gonna definitely talk about B2C marketing space and what our today's guest company can bring to this space. And we're gonna do that with Alex Kornilov, who's the CEO of engagement specialist BETEGY. So Alex, thank you for joining us here today.
Simona, hi, good afternoon. It's nice joining you today, and thank you for having me here. I think we have so many exciting topics to discuss today.
Exactly. It's a really pleasure to have you here. And I'm so happy to catch you now because as you told me, before we started this interview, you got just 10 minutes ago the news that you won EGR Innovation Award. So congratulations for that.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm in a great mood. My team, I just told it to the whole team. Everyone is, I think, celebrating in the room next to me.
Yeah. So, popping some
hopefully
bottles.
I can join them. Yeah. No, indeed. We have even a few bottles of champagne. It's kind of flattering to get the award. But when you realize how much work it goes into it, before you actually dare to apply, because I knew about this award for years, but this is the first year when we were confident to say, okay, let's go for it. And, we have a strong case, and it was our joint, the case which we submitted was our joint case with Parimatch, where we helped them to actually, improve the way how they produce the content and marketing campaign and landing pages and banners and so on. It was a truly big change. So I would say it's exciting, and I'm very thankful for all my team and the work of my team to get it done, because now it's more like a pinnacle of our achievement in this domain.
Indeed. I mean, it's always flattering to get appreciated from your industry peers, right? But before we jump into Parimatch partnership, about your in-house technology, for those maybe who are not familiar with BETEGY, can you tell us briefly about who you are and what are you bringing on the table for, especially for operators and sports media?
Sure. And to answer this, I'll tell a short story, because we work in the space of data analytics in sports since 2012. And somewhere back 2016, we started to work with media companies as well. And one of the requests was, Alex, you sell data to us for data analytics, but we also need visualizations of the data, not only your data, but all data, because we have editors, we have people who create content daily, and sports content and betting content is fast moving content. Now it's valid in a few seconds, it's not valid anymore. We want to have, they asked me, is there a solution? It was Yahoo Sports, actually. We worked for Euro 2016, so exactly 4 years ago. The head editor asked me, Alex, is it possible to have a tool which allows us to select the event, select the data points which we want to visualize, select where we want this to be sent, like Facebook, Instagram, editorials, YouTube, click generate, and we'll talk to all data sources and give us the graphics, so we don't have to do stupid work of taking numbers, putting them in Photoshop, rendering those, sending, and we say, wait, is it not done yet? In the world? And they say, no, it's not. And I say, okay, let's give it a try. So we worked for 2 years under the radar on this, engaged certain betting operators, certain media companies, and then back 2018 we introduced the system. So it's exactly this. From one side, we for our clients, we collect all the data, odds feeds, statistical feeds, analytics, CRM data, and on the other side, in a few clicks of a button, you can generate right away social media content, editorial content, videos, retail screen animations, on-air graphics, whatnot. Everywhere you produce your content, you can plug in our solution for data-driven updates and content and so on. So that's exactly this. So we built what was actually missing in the market.
I mean, it sounds really like a dream of any marketer and marketing executive, right? And as you touch on the Euros, the European Football Championship, I mean, We have to talk about it. It's the most important event of these
Yeah, let's
days.
do so.
I mean, we're definitely briefed by football these days, and most of us for sure. So you started doing predictive data and analytics for sports media.
Yeah.
As you said, that was what you started doing, back in 2012. And you rank in the top 3% globally on performance, right? So
that's how do you know about this?
I have my
Indeed,
sources. I have my
indeed, we have good algorithms. Yeah.
So can you tell us more about it? How is it working out with Euros, and how are the fans engaging? I mean, it's really interesting.
You see, from one side we can discuss, the algorithm part, but let's say we part of our business is doing data crunching still, so it's not only visualization of data, but we work with big data in this space. That's why we know how to visualize it. That's basically one to another. And obviously we can talk about predictions and how it's performing and who is winning and so on. It's interesting topic, but let's say more interesting topic this year is actually fan engagement, because you see pandemic changed the landscape 100% on how you interact. Well, not you, but football fan and football better interact with sport. And now in the context of Euros, this is the first championship in Europe which is done in full scale after pandemic, with visitors on the stadiums, with huge online following, and with new type of broadcasting, remote
Deals.
broadcasting and stuff. And it's big change. Even though if you're just not following this as a fan, you can sit and watch the Euro on your TV. It will be the same Euro, but without all people there. But still, it was such a big change for the industry in terms of the remote production facilities, those COVID tests, and many other things. But what I think, here, since what is interesting, few things which I saw in brand engagement and betting engagement, a lot of money were spent back to 2020, for this project. So basically, once again, the industry is now spent money, but not in such a big quantity as it was before for year 2020, because no one knows how it goes. And so it's more cautious. So you see the sponsorship deals are smaller in terms of the size of the deal itself. The money spent are smaller. You see the sponsors are different. You have less big brands like Coca-Cola, McDonald's, and so on, because no one knows how this will play out. So it's like, let's say, first try of the water. Okay, how does the offline event look like now? At the same time, all betting operators and all the media companies change the approach to interaction. If before it was always about, let's say, the video feed and be present and something like this, now they need to be more creative, actually, to be to attract people to this thing. Because let's say for me as a football fan, and it's hard to watch a game when there are no viewers. So basically you feel like empty. It feels like a training. And of course everyone felt it when we started to first games in Euro, there were like no audience, or in some games, in some games only a little bit. It doesn't feel like Euro. So you need to invest more heavily on graphics during the Euro, on air, off air experience, second screen apps, conversation, social integration of those things, conversation during the game in Twitter, Facebook, all those groups and so on. So that's where the brands shifted their attention. And I have some I can comment on what we did for Euro, so I can share this. We did a wonderful project with one of our clients where we created one of betting operators. We had they created a portal for journalists to go in and actually check the internal data, not only for journalists but also journalists plus football fans, where you can check volume of bets, what is the biggest bet, which region bet the most. So you see a new depth in data analytics. And that's a trend across the board, where you have just having a statistics or engagement like he won, he lost, or prediction on this or on that is not enough. Now you, like, the person behind on the other side of the screen watching the Euro, following the Euro, living the Euro, they want to go deeper into analytics, into statistics, And for example, they want some meat, so
Yeah.
betting operators saying, okay, the biggest bet was, and this region won that, and it was cool to not only work with generic data, but go deep into the under the hood of production environment of sports betting operator, take this data and bring it to life in a nice way, so it's interesting and daily driver for news and for different kind of announcements, and seeing, okay, Ukraine played England, and indeed it looked like everyone will bet on England, but unfortunately or fortunately were like significant number of bets on Ukraine. Who expected that? But we didn't know about this because none of betting operators were like, they were not able to open this up, and now it's possible. So you see how deep the engagement goes. So it's not even about the score, a lineup, it's more also about this kind of meaty things. And I think this is a general trend. And in this case, Simona, what is interesting, we follow American markets, because finally, Americans, even though they're less, the online betting is just opening up there, but they have the history of sports which are data driven. And every person in the United States, they have their team, their fantasy, their roosters, the stats, rebounds. In Europe, people follow football, but it's more social event as well. And now let's say we're catching up here with this pandemic and this Euros to go deeper into analytics. And and then of course the tools became more available, so we have those deeper data. We have a data on the coordinates of players, so you can build experiences of heat maps and how they run, how they score. And what I will tell you is interesting, that it's only a beginning in football. Knowing the data part of the world, US sports are so much more developed and tracked, while the European sport, which is, let's say, soccer, football, is so undeveloped yet. So in next 5-6 years, we'll see such a dramatic change of viewing experience. We'll get those on-air graphics, which projects the distances and all kinds of cool stuff, which you have in US. So we're just starting in Euro. Let's say first step in this direction. So.
I mean, you really catch there the point, and you're having there the point, because like I see the cross different industries, even in the casino betting, the and we're gonna talk about the esports as well, and the level of engagement is changing, and what is like what all the industry, because all the industries, whatever everyone has the same is that the player batter, the person, the people, the regular random guys are requiring more in-depth content. It's not anymore about the random content, like all this generation, the millennials, Gen Zs, the generation after. I mean, we can see that the content is changing, especially in this matter. Like they really requiring, the people wants to know more. They want to be engaged more, as you said, with the data driven content, and they want to know more. I mean, maybe before we treated the people and the viewers and the watchers and the bettors more kind of like amateurs. Now they want to be treated as a professionals,
exactly. And this trend follows even in terms of you talk about, let's say, younger generation. If you take a look on the attention span, the attention span is so little now, and so small time when you can talk to the audience, and they want everything now, instantly, up to date, real time. So it's a huge challenge for the whole industry, from sports to betting to casino, to get everything on time. And then as well, what they want, basically from my perspective, from technology side, sports betting and casino are, in many cases, they're upfront, like with servers set up and VPNs and all kind of infrastructure, but they're lagging behind in terms of the marketing and content distribution and many other things. So it's like 5 years lag. But when you look on other industries, for example, take Amazon sales experience, you go in and there are so many tools to prop you to get this and that and personalize. For example, you search for summer shoes, so they know where you are in Spain and they offer you umbrella right away, and you get used to this kind of personalized approach to your needs. So Advertisement is personalized, offering is personalized, good customer support, blah, 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 blah. And now they come to betting, the new generation, they saw it going on, they want to sign up, and they stumble upon the old school
Exactly.
place a bet here. They want gamification, they want something instant, they want, if I bet on esport, I don't want to know about football. It's like completely two different audiences, you know, and esport is, you know, it's completely different animal. So why on earth do I get the information about soccer if I'm betting on Hellraisers like in next Counter-Strike game? Why? And that's the challenges which betting companies have.
You know, I mean, I know, and I'm so happy that you are pointing out, because you know I have so many. You know, we are doing also the esports news. That's why kind of unique the media news side, because we're touching on also the both, and there are so many nuances which are similar. But it's really different audience. And I think because a lot of betting companies are stepping their foot into the esports, and the mic, something was happening. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I do hear you. All good.
Okay. Something was happening. They're stepping their foot into esports, and I think what's happening that the traditional sports betting operators are trying, like maybe if we're gonna, add the esports, they maybe the esports bettors will get also hook on the traditional sports, but it's not exactly
doesn't work like this.
how it works. I know that the monetization is the goal behind it. That they try to get the esports bettors to the traditional sport and vice versa. But it's just different audience with different needs, different expectations, with different goals, and even the lifestyle,
Exactly. And look, betting before was always perceived as a utilitarian thing. So basically, if before, I would say the promotion of betting companies was built around, hi guys, we are trusted. You can give us your money, we'll pay you back. And then it moved into bonuses, and stuff. But this is not what I care about. I care about sports or underlying event, and which odds are derived from. So in this case, let's say modern generation, especially of people who are betting for fun, they don't care whether it's like reliable, will pay you out. Of course, if you're licensed and I see you will pay me out, and this is like, you will take my money, and this is like utilitarian function. So betting operators, in order to win the hearts of millennial people or anyone currently, they need to be exciting, they need to be gamified, they need to build their marketing not on the level of we are trusted, please come and pay us, and we will be let's say, what is betting? Betting is more like, I give you money, you take them, and if I want, it's more utilitarian function, like you have lights or internet. It's like common thing, but what is on top of the main function defines the brand position, like the company position and brand identification. And then will I deposit second time when I lost the first time? And this becomes so much of a value at the moment, and people want to follow brands which they trust rather than unknown betting operators. So it doesn't matter for me now as a user or as a bettor or fan with whom I bet, or like how my money are processed. I don't care. I swipe a card, I get it, I get them back. What is important? What news do I get? What support? How the app is working? Can I play the bet now? Can I do something fun? Engagement. So know the basic value proposition. Basic value proposition is first layer of development of the industry, but we already passed that. Second layer of development would be marginal values. Okay, come here, biggest deposit, blah, blah, blah. But with the ever-changing legal environment in Europe, you cannot do it anymore. You cannot tell you come here, bet here. So you're out of this. We'll pass that already. Of course, people are building in here and there, but the competition now goes to intangible things like, okay, who is cool? Who is a cool brand here? That's what I care about. And do I care about odds? Yes, I do. But as a instance number 4, if I'm betting for recreation, or like I'd rather care about the coolness of this betting operator.
I know what you mean.
Apples you have, that's cool.
Exactly, and you were touching also on the U.S. market. You're obviously
Yeah,
approaching that one. I mean, everyone wants to
sure.
be involved in that for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
So, what is the key for engaging U.S. players when it comes
Well,
to data and content? I mean, you mentioned few, that it's
yeah.
more data driven, but like, what are the main differences between, for example, the European players and
No,
the US players?
sure. Obviously, we need to look on the different sports, and and the transition looks simple, but
Yeah.
it's not.
Mhm.
Approaching different sports in your product offering is completely game outside of European landscape,
Mhm.
and it's good to have Americans in your team who can help you to, you know, to navigate you through the sports. And obviously, when we started approaching the US market, we had so many hiccups, which are,
Mhm.
basically, I don't know, the home team in the US is on the other side, and I was sure in the whole world, the home team is on the left, but no, in the US it's vice versa, and even such stupid things, which we, thought it's like this, but
Mhm.
generally, if you go on a big level in betting space, regulations are very strict there, and they
Mhm.
have a limited, basically, if you want to serve betting clients and betting customers and with betting advertisement, of course, data-driven content, that's one thing, but also the very strict legal requirements and following those
Okay.
legal requirements is super important, because you're in New York, you open the app and you cannot bet. You cross the bridge, you're in New Jersey, you can bet, you can do whatever you want in,
Mhm.
in terms of sports betting. And this is big thing. And usually when we work with American clients, this is topic number one to discuss. Can your app or can your software, can your service help us to provide experience, for example, to all Americans, but at the same time, like personalize the content based on
Mhm.
location. So, for example, there are some states which have one regulation, another state has different regulation,
Different.
and so on and so forth. That's one thing. Second, US is so big on supporting local teams. We can only dream of this in Europe, because basically every that penetration of marketing and promotion is deeper in a way that you have first league, second league, third league. In our
Mhm.
case, in European in European leagues, you have second league, which is might be interesting, and third, no one knows. So generically, and obviously not all the leagues, yeah. But in the US, you have collegiate sports, you have much more depth to this,
Mhm.
which leads you also. There are so many people supporting their local teams. So let's
Mhm.
say if you want to provide an exciting content which people will consider to bet on, you
Mhm.
always need to consider the local teams,
Hmm.
rather than the generic NFL Super Bowl final.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that's different. In Europe, okay, if we talk to our client, what leagues do you want? Say, okay, we want top five plus Euro, like Champions League plus European Championship, World Cup. Okay, we round up at 10 leagues, and it's only one sport. Here, multiple sports, multiple teams, multiple states, which are powerful in different sports, and this is so much work in terms of European company going to US landscape and trying to give services there. It looks like, come on, it's the same. It's not the same
Yeah.
100%. And
Exactly, because there are so many
uh,
European companies who are actually trying to, to get in the US, and they are definitely finding out that it's not just that easy. You cannot come with your product to the US and think that it's
yeah,
gonna work there. Not at all. And it's very nice because actually it's something what you point out about supporting the local teams. I mean, yeah, here in Europe we are kind of like there's the people who are watching this, those European Championship, World Championship, two, three times in a week, year, two, three times in a year, they would bet,
yeah, exactly.
they call themselves, the sports fans, but you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, I can elaborate on this in context of our
yeah.
latest partnership in basketball. We signed a deal which will be announced this week, so maybe your viewers of your of your show will be first to know about this.
Yeah.
We signed a deal with Shot Tracker. Shot Tracker is a company which
Yeah.
tracks data on a court. They have sensors in balls and t-shirts and everything in there, and we visualize data together with them. So basically, they
Mhm.
track the data, we do visualization, and we already served 3 tournaments in the US with our on-air on-air graphics solution where, for example, you can put live all this data and so on. So we integrated directly into production environment of TV stations. But what is interesting is that tournaments which we served, one of them was very local, like really local, is part of the league, and I was 100% sure we will have no sponsors. But no, even for local tournaments on the collegiate level, they have local sponsorship, which sponsor like the restaurant, like which
across
is
the
sponsoring
street, across
the street, actually sponsoring the event, which means they have viewership of those events. Or the local gas company, which serves only Texas, for example, they're able to buy sponsorship places and integrations into those tournaments. And I was surprised to see such a huge list of sponsors, which is completely different in Europe. In Europe, only top leagues get the sponsorship, and usually they don't care. The rest does not care. The viewership is not there. Even taking very developed markets with good production and first leagues, let's say Poland, it's still the viewership is so low in comparison to the top leagues, but this gap is smaller in the US, and you always need to consider that as well. So many things are going on local level, which is great.
I think it's just also by it's shows the mentality, because Americans, I think, know or they do fight for the audience a bit harder. Maybe in our culture, in the European culture, and American culture, they when it comes to the marketing, they know they have to really hard push, they have to push hard.
And as you see the promotion of sports, I don't know, I was lucky to watch European championships since I was in different countries and different channels, and take a look on the ESPN feed and level of marketing and sports integration in comparison to European feed of any TV. Maybe Sky Sport is, I don't know whether Sky Sport is airing the Euros, I'm not sure, but they can compete with that. But let's say the regional production, let's say Poland, Ukraine, Germany, UK, if you compare to feeds of ESPN covering the news and European countries, ESPN makes such a compelling product. And I was like, why European championships are more compelling in US? And now I understand, because they have such a competition and broadness of offering, and leagues compete with each other on how to for example, you have Sunday is one, and you have 4 sports to fulfill. So whether you watch an MLB or NFL or NBA, you need to decide what you watch. So league competes with league, so it drives the innovation all the time.
It's meatier, it's sharper.
Exactly. It's hard to explain in my words, but we have still one semifinal and one final to watch. If you have a chance to watch it at ESPN, they also do the coverage of this. Go take a look. You will see a completely different experience, which is a notch higher than European ones I've seen up to date. So kudos to them.
Good job. Yes.
Good job.
Cheers to them. There's many people, many providers who should learn from them, right? But you touched on the COVID, and with all this COVID-19 unprecedented crisis, we could see. I mean, it's not something new. What I'm gonna say, the esports betting is gaining in popularity. I mean, there's many people who try to avoid this topic, but it is really gaining in popularity in very, very fast way. So can you tell us, where do you see all that going, and maybe even compares the fans' behavior to, or what the client, I don't know if you're already working with the esports
we work with esports.
We
work with
so
esports,
maybe to compare from not B2C perspective, but B2B, like what are the needs? What are the needs of your esports clients compared to traditional ones?
Yeah, there are so many thoughts about that, because this is something I'm really attentively watching. How does it develop? And what is interesting here is, first, the complexity of sports, you multiply by 5, and then you arrive to esports. In terms of technology, what you need to deliver, the lags, the delays in time, and the real-time data, all kind of such things. What's good there is that anyone can take part in esports, and why esports is so lucrative market coming. Of course, it's small still in comparison to other sports betting markets and sports. Oh, so many things to say, but let's tackle them one by one. But what's good about esports? If I am a fan of football, to play football, I need to find people, buy boots, go train a little bit, lose some weight, all kind of such things. I cannot just say, I'm playing football today. No,
I'm not I'm not going to become Cristiano Ronaldo from
Yeah, exactly. And as we sit now and we decide to play with you, Simon, let's play some competitive Counter-Strike. We can find a local league, install the software in 20 minutes, take the mouse, take a keyboard, and go play even on an amateur level. That's why the barrier to entry is so low in the sport. That's why it's so lucrative for future and current advertisers, because everyone can be there. That's one thing. Second thing is that let's say in esport, all those data complexities and everything makes it so hard to promote to. And we have managers in betting companies and sports companies, and obviously those managers are, let's say, 30 plus, like in terms of age. And I wonder whether they at least, I hope they have kids who are playing. But recently I was observing how people consume the content. Younger generation under 30 who are into this, they don't sit down and watch it on big TV like you watch the sport and you need a second screen experience and you're like this, okay, bring it on, I have a beer. No, they sit at work, they have a TV open the next side, it's 20 minutes of the game in Counter-Strike. They're so focused there, they finished it, they keep working. Completely different experience of enjoying the sport because they play during the day and so it's not that something you come and it's a family time to watch. No, it's very individual. It's you usually, of course, you have events and people can gather together, but it can be individual as well. You sit down, you watch intensively. And what comes here is that esport is so intense, you cannot take your eyes off. So if you take a grown up adult of 50 plus and put him to watch Counter-Strike, he'll say, wait, I cannot keep up with this pace. Yeah. At the same time, the younger generation easily keep up with this pace. It's fine. Everything is fine. And they're good with this. What does it mean? It means for us that completely different client we have in front of us. And the sport should evolve. So, and I love football a lot, but let's say sometimes it's boring. I just, okay, I can go make a sandwich for myself, come back, or just skip the game. Yeah. In terms of esport, you are so engaged into the game, you cannot take your eyes out of it. And I think a good, so what I lead to, betting operators and sports media companies need to evolve the sport of this normal sport to match the esport, because soon the consumers, which are now younger generation, will be a main generation. They will never watch football because it's boring. Because it's not the pace we used to. And a good example to use, Simona, somewhere in between would be F1. If you like Formula One, I don't know how much you follow this, but I follow this as a business very precisely. As soon as Liberty Media took over this league, they did everything to spark the engagement in front of TV with fast pace and without boring stuff. Before it was boring thing, but they somehow, with innovation, with pushing technology, not only on the screen, but inside the teams, actually controlling the whole experience, they did a miracle in terms of viewership and how people perceive it. And this counts to be a normal sport. I mean, normal, not esport. I mean, conventional sport. And I think until football, basketball, and other guys will not change their mind and follow Formula One in this journey, they will never be able to penetrate this younger generation in full, because there is a generation shift. If before everyone wanted to be Del Piero, or Cristiano Ronaldo, still now, but now many people don't want to. They want to be, they want to have a new gun for their Counter-Strike, and that's the way it is, So you still need to cater to those in a few years. And to do this, those conventional sports and betting operators need completely to change the experience of where they can, change rules of sports. In Formula One, it's fine that every year there's a new rule. In football, the way we played football 1944 is the same as now. pretty much, so not much changed. And I think they need to start innovating in this space, and betting operators should innovate in where they can. Online experience, less complex apps with all those odds, more visualizations, more engagement per sport, which people like. So if I follow football, why, like, if I not football, if I like volleyball, why I should get football content? I want to have volleyball content or chess content or esports content. Why do I need to care about who will be the next finalist, Italy versus? I don't have to. So
I mean, we have I had an interview, I think it was like 3-4 months ago, with one of the directors of the esports division of the Formula One, and they really grasping, like,
yeah,
it's the division, because the Formula One is a sport that it's, if you're gonna try it to today's generation, I mean the average generation, or 40, 50, people 50 plus, if you're gonna try to explain them, League of Legends, I mean it's just two generation. Yeah, there's a huge generation gap, and they will not get it. But the Formula One in esports version of Formula One, it's something that you can get into even if you are not like huge esports fan. There are those, like, I would say they are the middlemen that they can get you somehow, to into the space. You will not feel awkward to get into it. And I think the e-racing is something that even the older generation can enjoy, and somehow get introduced into the esports in general, right? Because I believe it's a bit intimidating, like for the older generation to see these folks, generation of the teens, the Gen Zs playing the esports, because they're just really huge gap. I mean, as you said, these folks, they don't even watch cable TV anymore. They're watching the streaming
cable
platform.
TV?
The cable TV, like,
what are you talking about? I don't watch cable TV, and I'm not the generation.
And I'm almost 30. I'm not watching cable TV, so imagine. So I mean, it's really changing, and I think that the betting and casino operators, they need to start to understand that the consumer is changing, and the consumer's behavior and needs are changing. And now, unfortunately, I still think that they try to hold on the generation 40 plus, 35 plus, and they and somehow they try to little bit close their eyes, but the future consumer is gonna be this person who's not watching cable TV, and and prefer to watch the Twitch,
And let me elaborate on this, from bird eye view on this, we feel a lot of contradiction in this case. Okay, how come there's a new generation, but the companies cannot serve this demand and they don't know what to do? That's fine. This is the way it's happening. The industry goes through the change. And everything will be leveled up. I think our industry, sports betting, casino, is it was too good industry to be at, with good margins and so it was good enough for not to care about the innovation and new generation. It was lucrative enough. Okay, everything works, let's not touch it, But now the pace of the world is so different. The pace of a sport is changing, and esport is leading this revolution, that you have to do it. And if, like, we see that they cannot cope with this, let's say objectively, some they can, but majority not, and that's fine as well, because the companies are structured in a way that they cannot just throw everything and serve the underserved industry, which is still small, and their shareholders will say, are you nuts? We're earning X here, and here we earn 100 times less. Why do you want to invest resources in more harder business? And here we have a typical example from book Innovator's Dilemma. And they talk exactly about this in other industries. When you have a trend which is not lucrative enough, which is small, which is completely out of main business, but it can eat up your business in the future, and companies cannot innovate in this thing because it's too different animal for them to choose. So we have a classical example of disruptive innovation going on in front of our eyes, and the wise executives who will understand this more likely will go and create satellite companies, which will serve this market with completely different team, completely different approach, completely different employees and age gaps. But it's, you need to decide on this, to tackle the market which is not lucrative, enough. And imagine you have a big betting company. I know the Bet365s of this world, bwins, and so on. Yeah, for them to make a decision to invest something in a smaller, not lucrative, not big enough market, they even will not discuss it, on board meetings, because it's what we're talking. But suddenly something changed. Now this grows and it disrupts the whole industry, and those guys are dying out. And this is again, same as a book name, Innovator's Dilemma. Here's a dilemma for top management: what to do. And they would need to gamble on one thing or on another thing, and but the decision should come in a certain way, and or not making decision is also a decision. Yeah. So in this case, it's very interesting to watch this. So from your perspective, being an observer, it's cool to have retrospective, and let's see where we land in 5 years. Yeah, will the disruption happen? And big dinosaurs of the industry will continue to to dominate this, or we'll have a new players who are completely agile, have different approach to the customer acquisition, to brand building, to personalization of the content, to all kind of such things. It might be different, and I'm betting on actually that it might be different.
Exactly. I think well, we're definitely, hopefully, gonna meet again. We're gonna have another interview like in 3, 4, 5 years, time, and we're gonna talk about do you remember, Alex, when we were talking about this, and now everyone try to, because in my personal opinion, I really believe that those companies who adjust very fast at the moment are going to be those who will win really big in the future, in 5 years horizon. I really believe that those who will really adjust quickly, fast, and they will invest in it, because this is something what takes time to really spend the money on the marketing strategy for the millennials and for a new generation. It's so disruptive and so different that it really takes time. It's not something you can build in 6 months. It really takes time.
It's not copycat. Yeah, it's mainly just taking the resources, executing them, spending the money, and keep spending the money.
I keep spending the money.
And keep spending. It's something you open up and you get. It's not a project. It's like a destination. Yeah. So you basically just fight for your budget inside your company, get this budget, and keep fighting for it. Until time comes.
Alex, you get me a quote. It's not a project; it's a destination. You got me a quote.
but you see, it's interesting. I'm looking into the landscape of advertisement in sports betting and casino and all related fields. And when we started back 2018 with this product, which we have now, I was the only one on stage talking about machine-generated content, and I was saying, "Wait, it will be a revolution, blah 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 blah. So much needed." Now I join in discussions and panels. Everyone talks about, okay, we need to scale and personalize content, but then I read the research that in digital world, not sports betting. Let's take FMCG or retail. Only 9% of companies are actually doing personalization and precise tracking, even including Amazon, and all big guys.
I would say that it's already much bigger than that, and still.
And the idea is that this is still to come. All those kind of changes. But what is interesting is that the pace of changes the pace is so different now. So basically, if you wait for a change before, it was like, okay, in 5 years we'll see something. Now it might happen that in next month we'll see some, changing, or the pace is faster. So whoever is not investing in the future go and invest now, because you'll be go to your managers, your board, your partners, and say we need to spend those money without getting revenues now, but maybe in the future we'll be lucky enough to get them. But what is guaranteed is that a change will happen, and more likely you'll not be ready for this. So at least try to maximize your chances on this.
I think we could really sum it up into it's not a project, it's a destination. The change is good. And you're gonna need it.
Definitely, we see the changes are going on. This COVID just highlighted and burned the match, which highlighted a new area of problems inside the companies or opportunities. And I bet there will be more events like this, not COVID itself, but more triggers to change the landscape of how the business is doing. And we need to get ready to have those changes every year, new change, new technology. Imagine, in one of other editorial articles, which I took part in, where we discussed whether the big giants will join the betting industry. Imagine Amazon is going into betting, or Apple going into betting. It's huge markets. I mean, this is lucrative markets.
They are all getting into the esports, actually. They're maybe also getting into the traditional betting, but it's crazy to see from the Tesla to the Amazon to the Google, the McDonald's, the Burger King. It does not matter. Everyone is investing in the esports, and they know why. It's lucrative audience. It's just good investment. It's you investing into the future generation. And obviously they're not going to see the money in 1 year, in 2 years, not even in 3 years, I guess.
Sure. So I would say betting companies have to now grow up, say goodbye to lucrative margins and unoptimized businesses. So because betting was always a business which was very high margins and behind the innovation, and it was hard to disrupt because it was a barrier to entry. It was very hard to do. So you need to have licensing and So not many executives went there. But now I see this as an industry which about to be disrupted, which means more professional teams coming in, more professional innovators coming in. Everyone will try to take your margins out and and eat your business alive. So and you have Jeff Bezos, who might think, okay, where else I can put my skills and my servers and my personalization and everything? Sports betting, why not? We'll get licensed and cook, eat everyone for breakfast because we already have everything else. So here it's we're in very interesting times. So
exactly.
I would say we can guarantee the change. The change is guaranteed from year to year, and we need to adapt to this and grow up and be professional and be invest into optimization, invest into being closer to real digital business, which is now still in front of sports betting and casino business.
Exactly. And if you want to be on your top game and you need help with your strategy, please contact BETEGY because they're gonna help you with that. I'm quite sure. I have to tell you, I speak with a lot of people, a lot of executives, a lot of CEOs, a lot of owners itself. But you are one of those most passionate. It was really great to talk with you. I think we covered a lot. We did cover a lot in almost 1 hour, and I really would like to thank you for being here today. And I can't wait to talking to you again. I hope we're gonna talk also in person.
I hope not earlier than 5 years from now. So
because we need those events to happen.
Exactly.
Not sure when, but hopefully we're gonna see each other also in person. And again, thank you so much for being here today. It was great discussion, and I think the viewers will really enjoy it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. My pleasure.
Have a great evening and go to pop those buttons. I'm sorry that I'm keeping you here still.
I have time for this as well. Thank you, Simona. It was a pleasure to meet you, and the talk was really interesting, and thanks for elaborating on and coming up with interesting topics. It's part of the successful interview. I would say the 70% is usually the interviewer, because you can talk me into the things which I might not want to say.
I really
for important opinions.
I really appreciate you saying that, but send also my regards to your whole team. I think you are doing a great job, and see you again, I guess.
See you again.
Ciao.
Thanks,
Ciao. Ciao. Have a good day.